All right. Hi, hi, hi. We are here. We are going to share my screen so that we can see this oh so lovely PowerPoint presentation that I have available regarding automating to elevate. This is essentially where you can streamline your freelance music business over time. Can you see it, Dylan?
Yes, I can see it.
All right, welcome to Automate to Elevate, where we are here to talk about streamlining your freelance music business and reclaim your time. My name is Jared Bastow, and I am the owner operator of Opus Freelance Music Coaching. I myself am a freelance musician and teacher, whereby if I don't have tools like this available, automation, then I literally am just sucking time away from creativity, performing, or getting my lesson plans ready for all my students, or even building webinars such as this. So that is why I think this topic is very essential, because I feel like many of us freelancers go through with this and it's important to address it. So, this is designed for freelance musicians, teachers, and similar occupations looking to scale. You will, by the end of this webinar, learn how automation can free your time for higher value work. And hopefully, you'll walk away with practical, low cost strategies you can use today. Uh, Essentially, we're here to learn about efficiency. So I'll walk you through simple systems that can run parts of your business automatically, even if you're not a tech person. Think of today as your opportunity to stop chasing tasks and start building a structure that supports you. So I'm sure that you can relate to this. Um, this is generally the freelance struggle. So this is where you're going to find that there are many hours spent on scheduling and rescheduling. There's constant emailing back and forth, as well as message threads that you probably build over time. You probably, whenever you're dealing with students or when you're, having gigs that, you're waiting to reply back to, or gigs that you're expecting to be paid for, this is where you find yourself having to constantly manually deal with reminders from, your partners, your students, your clients, etc. And this is probably where you feel like there's never enough time to find time to practice and or express your creativity or do whatever else musically that you want to do. Dylan, is this something that you feel like you face sometimes as a freelancer?
I definitely face a lot of issues with struggle or with like budgeting time correctly, and it definitely does create like a lot of sort of waste in which I didn't like achieve what I needed, especially in the last point with enough time to practice.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like, as you're expressing earlier, you're balancing now a job and your studies and making sure that you're finding the time to practice within your studies and your education. And, this goes hand in hand with what most freelancers do face, is that they don't really realize how much time gets lost in the routine tasks of things, especially when you've taken some time off. You're now realizing like the amount of time that you have to handle emails or handle students and make up for whatever they have to present to you, and then be able to be ready for them, and equally so getting ready for a gig. You wake up answering messages, you move on to scheduling, and by the end of the day there's barely time for you to actually do the work you need to do. It's something that you feel might be a constant cycle for you.
Less so now. I've definitely been working. This has been something I've been actively practicing, so sometimes I notice that I've been able to free up more time, and sometimes I fall back into those old habits. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is like literally every freelancer's nightmare, is whenever you always say to yourself, what do I have to do next? And you dread the amount of time that you have to allot for it, because it might be longer, or it might even be less, but then there's something you might have forgotten along the way. So today's tasks, we are going to address how to eliminate repetitive admin tasks. We will build seamless client systems and create an efficient workflow that runs without you. We'll start by, of course, cutting out the repetitive work. will ultimately create systems that handle client communication for you. And finally, at the end of the day, we'll look at how to make your business operate smoothly, even when you're away from your desk. So if you're on vacation, you know that at the end of the day, something, it may not be someone, is doing the work on your behalf such that you don't have to worry about it whenever or wherever you are. How does that sound to you?
Sounds good to me. I keep on muting and unmuting just so you don't get all the street noise.
Oh, it's fine. I don't mind street noise. I live in Dallas. All right, so we're going to start with talking about eliminating repetitive tasks. So you want to be sure that you are listing every recurring task you do weekly. So this is the first step where you're going to find automation being awareness, is making sure that you have everything listed out as you go about your weekly tasks. You want to track how much time you spend on admin work versus creative work, ultimately highlighting what could be automated or what could be standardized. You ultimately want to see that there's the 80-20 rule in effect, not 220%, but 20% of your admin tasks. There we go. I'm going to just make that quick edit for me. Great. Let's get back to this. Can you see now? Let's
Yeah. Oh, after it loads, probably yes.
let me do this. There we go. Let's go back to this. That might be easier. All right. So you want 20% of your tasks to consume 80% of your time. So at the end of the day, you want to ensure that 80% of your time is yours and 20% of the tasks are already managed on their own. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. So again, start by what you do each week, every little tasks. And I'm talking like emails, that can be schedules, that can be something to the effect of cooking dinner for yourself, that could be travel is a task if you think about it, studying is a task, preparing for your practice itinerary, task, etc., etc. Anything that you repeat daily or weekly is a prime candidate for automation. So for you, Dylan, what would be a prime candidate for automation?
Something I do daily or weekly. Um, I'm like trying to think about that. Probably laundry.
Laundry, okay, good. So making sure that you find a way to automate that before we go too deep. Okay, good. They're not here yet, so we're just going to keep going. All right. So yes, laundry would be one. That's a weekly task. What else?
Definitely grocery shopping and meal planning.
Meal planning. That's a great one that you can automate, is identifying how and what you need on a weekly basis such that you're able to automate that. But in terms of admin tasks, what else do you have?
Hmm. Oh, I see. Going back to admin. Yeah,
Yeah.
answering emails and like keeping my inbox to where I can see what I need to and
Mhm.
answering things in a timely manner.
Yes. Good, good, good. So anything else that comes to mind right now? Not just for personal, but maybe for uh school related.
School related, it's not right now, it's gonna be what comes up, but being able to like fulfilling whatever assignments I need to do, whether it's writing papers, doing research, reading, like having ensembles and having those times blocked out.
Yeah. So just making sure that your schedule is as fluid but also prepared as possible without having to like overthink it.
Correct.
All systematized. Great. All right, so let's review common admin tasks that you can automate. And you kind of listed up many of these. Uh, these are areas that ultimately will eat up your time. That includes things like setting up lessons, chasing payments, sending reminders, following up after sessions on just like a basic uh, studio culture. Most of the tasks that you see here, scheduling lessons, rehearsals, concerts, meetings, sending reminders or confirmations, tracking invoices or payments, Managing email inquiries, following up with clients after lessons, projects, or meetings. These can be handled automatically with tools you probably already
On it.
use. Oh, sorry. My Siri is trying to talk to me. Uh, that we try to use, but we just need to ultimately connect to it. So, that said, these are tools that you can use to help you. You ultimately can use automation in any way without much complication in tech. It's about using the tools you already know, just making it in a smarter way. So Calendly can handle your scheduling. I use that, as you know, for strategy calls. There's also Google Calendar integration that you can use effectively by using the repeat or adding people on such that their email addresses is there and you don't have to like email them back and forth and send reminders. They can do it for you through that. There's also Acuity that is out there. When it comes to invoicing, you can use Wave, you can use QuickBooks, you can use HoneyBook, you could use Square. Um, for my private lessons, I've used My Music Staff, just as effective as it relates to sending out whatever amount that you need from your families. It also allows for follow ups as well as receipts and attendance related information that you want to provide to the families. That's another avenue for invoicing and follow ups and reminders if you want to use that platform as well. Follow ups, you can also use Gmail templates. You can create your own templates per your own reasons or resource and or communication style. Zapier, I have also used. Whenever you're using Calendly, it's great so that if you want to integrate it to your calendar or to your website, it has the ability to fuse to automate your life a little bit easier. MailerLite automations are also another alternative. There's also reminders that you can use for automation by using Google Workspace, Todoist, as well as Asana. You just have to utilize them as triggers to help give you the way of reminders. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. Let's keep going. So, micro automations, they will ultimately save you hours whenever you are dealing with any sort of work related to automation tools. So, this is where you ultimately have auto confirmation messages after you schedule something. Uh, you have your invoices that are sent. Oopsies, I'm gonna do myself the kind favor spelling payment correctly. Invoices are sent immediately after a session is completed, or if you want to send invoices before the beginning of the month, like if you're wanting payment from families beforehand, you have the ability to create invoices in advance, and then you have the ability to just send them in bulk before the end of the month or the beginning of the month. Thank you emails, especially if you want to stay consistent with playing with gigs, if it's especially your first time, making sure that you have the ability to send thank you emails. And in this particular case, post payment might just be, after you get paid from the gig, or it could be after you receive your payment from your students, or after you receive payment from, any client that I might have from a coaching business or a side business that you have. Lesson reminders, of course, you can send via text or email 24 hours beforehand, assuming you have that information. Those would be ways to really launch your automation to a whole new level whereby you have the ability to really save many, many, many hours of your time to then be able to use it to practicing. Is that something that you could see yourself doing?
Yes.
Which part of it do you see yourself doing?
I think definitely like the thank you emails. Honestly, all of it in a way where I have templates set up that can be sent out that I don't have to worry about curating something individually for these instances.
Right. Hmm. Yeah, I think having the templates, I use these templates all the time, and I can send you additional resources later. Um, when using templates, I have found it to be gravely beneficial, especially on like a case by case situation. Uh, like I have not received a payment yet. So as a result, I am not going to teach your student or your child after not receiving it, but I'm not going to credit you. Those kinds of emails I have available, or the thank you for your payment emails, or I'm sorry, but now you have a late fee because you didn't pay on time. Like those kinds of automated emails go immediately out after a certain period of time. And it's always just good to have on hand. And the same with, automated emails for, oh, thank you so much for the opportunity to play with you, or hi, I love to play with you. Is there a way that I can meet the principal or send a recording? So, again, having those templates and then just launching it out, it saves the thought of thinking for sure. Equally, such, it allows you to put your thinking where you want it to go, i.e., toward your creativity. Make sense?
Yes.
Wunderbar. Let's talk about building seamless client systems. So, this is mostly toward teaching related stuff as well as, I say teaching related stuff, teaching as well as whenever you're trying to build a network for yourself within like a regional situation. Um, whether it be in orchestras or whether it be partnering with other like-minded individuals whereby you have a project together. So that kind of work is what this form of automation will be for. So ultimately, systems will matter in this particular moment. So you want to imagine that a client is reaching out to you and getting an instant professional response. You want to be ready for it. Uh, they want to book through a link that you have provided. So say you have a teaching studio whereby you have signups for new students, or say you want to get hired for like a church gig or some sort of event gig, and you want it to be accessible for that prospective client to reach out to you and allow some sort of a payment setup already in place. And ultimately, whenever that's all taken care of, and after they have paid you, or even before they paid you, you want to be sure that they receive an immediate welcome email. So having all of those in line is super imperative. Um, that's ultimately how you turn a casual inquiry into a seamless professional experience. So systems, they will create reliability and professionalism. They reduce confusion for clients and for you. And it ultimately sets up clear expectations from day one. And it frees your brain from decision fatigue. Nothing is harder than having to spend hours on how to manage a certain form of communication and or a certain inquiry based setup than to have to ponder the idea of how do I decide this is going to work. Well, one, two, three steps is all it really takes in those particular moments. Your ideal client journey, what will help the client or the student or the partner is there's an inquiry, they receive an automatic response. There's an intake form that they sign off, and therefore there's a calendar link that they receive to be able to schedule something with you. You want to ensure that confirmation is within a payment link such that once they give you the payment, then you confirm by way of a receipt of some sort, or equally such that there is an invoice and then there's a payment link, and then they can pay you and set up some sort of a confirmation email saying that you received a payment. You want to have a welcome email with a resource guide. So pair the two together to make it a little bit easier and less paper trail for different threads of communication, as well as a post session follow up. Dylan, do any of these resonate with you? Like, do you see yourself using this form of a client journey for students or for partners or even for teachers?
I think I think I definitely do with a lot of these different things. It kind of reminds me of like almost the efficiency of a doctor's office in a sense.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, tell me more.
Um, I was more so curious about like the intake form specifically because I'm thinking more of that in like a therapy environment and applying that here. So, I'm not certain. I also do not have any students right now, and I haven't started building a studio, so it's like something that I'm like having to imagine that's not quite there yet for me.
So if you want, I can actually show you an example of this. So let me go to my website really quickly. So on my website, I know I'm like drifting and it's really kind of awesome. So I have a student sign up intake form. Oh, that's not it. I have a student sign up intake form whereby they have the ability to fill in the information appropriately, right? So name, B day, email address, instrument, skill level, current school, parent info, etc. They then sign up such that, let's go to here. They have the ability to then sign in to, as you can see here, fill in whatever lesson they want over on these dotted lined figures. From there, they have the ability.
Gotcha. Okay, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, tell me more.
Yeah, that's actually I've never thought about doing it that way. I will say that is absolutely something that I'm gonna implement where instead of having because I wasn't certain about scheduling where I was like, does the student just pick when they're available? But it's like you provide when
Yeah.
you are available to do the thing rather than having to work on the student's clock, you work on your own clock.
Correct. Yeah, you can do it however you see fit. At the end of the day, your time is valuable. So you want to be sure that you put the work on them to do all the things you want them to do, which is schedule a lesson with you. And, in the event that they're not available, okay, then you identify it with them. But likely if they've already expressed I'm available during these times or these days of the week, that gives you more flexibility to then say, okay, fine, this is when I'm available. I will see you when I see you. And periodically you check in or you send a reminder to yourself indicating, oh, they've scheduled for X amount of time. Great, it's on my calendar. And if you Zapier it, you have the ability to literally have it transfer to your Google Calendar if you use that, such that you don't have to even look at it really, except for that one time whereby you show up and there they are. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good. Sorry, I'm like in the process of removing my squash from the oven. I think I'd let it go a little too long.
Oh, shoot, I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. I just started smelling it and I'm like, oh, some pieces are getting toasty.
Oh no. Yeah, so the whole goal here is you want to create an environment where it's not hands off so much. There's certain elements where you do have to be very customer servicey. However, it's going to make your life a heck of a lot easier when you have systems in place for others to do the work that you would have normally done by yourself at the end of the day. So, great tools to consider, or excuse me, at the end of the day, you want the client when they join in for it to all feel intentional for you and for them. Uh, Receiving again that welcome email will be very helpful with clear next steps. Maybe like having a frequently asked questions page for your students. Maybe having, like I said before, syncing it to your calendar invites whenever they do schedule or something like that. Or, finding a way to, with your clients that you're working with.
Set a 20-minute timer.
Yeah, you're fine.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm muted.
No, you're fine. Maybe even with clients that you have, making sure that, with Calendly, that they also receive the invite so that everybody's on the same page. Maybe even with your Calendly, have like a short questionnaire if they're perspectives. Why are you a good fit for my program, etc., leading into the calendar discussion, whereby I have all the information in front of me. So that would be helpful for onboarding experiences like building students or clients, or even having a conversation with another freelance colleague to see about performance opportunities. So just things to look out for. So there are tools that are out there that are very helpful. So for onboarding, you can use Google Forms, such as how you learned about the Opus Freelance Music Coaching webinar today, whereby you also have the ability to say, hey, looking forward to seeing you at the webinar. Here's my Zoom link. Upon signing up, there's an automatic response that comes from that, goes straight to your email, and then you find yourself here at 5 o'clock ready for the webinar. Typeform is another one, as well as Jotform. Communication. So you can put in Gmail filters, you can use WhatsApp broadcasts, you can use Slack channels as a way to use communication for automation and onboarding. Uh, Customer relationship management, so things like Honeybook, things like 17 Hats, Notion templates, those are very helpful, especially for invoicing or sending emails using your business logo, etc. Finally, with file delivery, you can use Google Drive automation as well as Dropbox links for client system automation. Moving a little bit forward, this allows ultimately for a seamless onboarding experience. So you want to be sure that you are sending a personalized welcome email automatically. You can include new next steps, including frequently asked questions and links that are followed up upon receiving the welcome email, and or whenever you had whatever session with your student or with your client, you then have the ability to send attendance notes, or you can send over the video recordings of your session with these clients. You can send over follow-up notes immediately after a partner project, etc. Having that available for them would help clear for next steps. Automation, welcome packets, or resource delivery. You want to be sure that you're adding a calendar sync so clients can reschedule easily. So, say for instance, I recently had a partner that is working on a project with me that needed to reschedule. At the end of the day, it was really easy because I had already put their email address on my Google Calendar, such that I had the ability to just move it to a time and date that worked best for us. At the end of the day, once it was already updated, it not only was visible on their calendar, but they also received the same features that came from that particular event because their email address was already included, and their 24-hour reminder about the event was already instilled, such that in 24 hours before the new event, they're still going to have the same functionality. Does that make sense, Dylan? I know you're probably cooking, so I apologize. Oh, you're
No,
back.
no, no, I'm back. I'm back. I just had to remove stuff from the oven and put stuff back in the oven, so it wasn't anything.
You're fine. Does that make sense in terms of helping out your clients and or students for onboarding?
It it definitely does. It definitely also like makes it to where you don't have to repeat the same things over and over again.
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. I find though that when I do repeat, it's mostly because the other party had not followed through with what was stated, or they don't necessarily read through the information. So at that point, the accountability is on the client and or the student and or the partner. But it comes down to the fact of that it has been carried forward and you've done your part the best that you can in that particular moment. So now pro tips for smooth systems. You want to ultimately keep your templates branded and consistent. You want to use short, clear language and auto messages, as well as automate but personalize. So making sure that your name is on there, the project, as well as it may be a lesson or what kind of lesson. It could be a clinic lesson, it could be a group class, it could be any variation of that. And you want to be sure that you're revisiting your workflow every 3 months just to refine. Um, Keep them friendly. Don't make it so robotic. Add some personal details like your name or the project type. So, for instance, maybe it's webinars, maybe it's um, assembling for an all state workshop, maybe it's assembling with a partner that is wanting to build some sort of a communication channel for other freelancers, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on. And you want to specifically every few months check in to make sure that it still fits within your workflow. So, 3 months from now, you're about to start school, whereby, your routine, your workflow might adjust, and therefore you have to ask yourself, okay, where should the automation really lie as it pertains to right here, right now, as you're gearing up for getting back into school? Does this all make sense to you?
Yes, we've got music in the background, so I'll keep myself muted for ease.
Okay, all good. All right, so let's keep trucking along. So now we have to learn about creating an efficient workflow. All right, so with a creating an efficient workflow, when your systems are dialed in and things start to move on their own, this is where efficiency really takes hold. This is where you can have your calendars update in real time. This is where clients get reminders without you lifting a finger. This is when you finally have time to focus on the creative work that actually grows your business. So again, tasks move automatically between platforms. You receive fewer can we reschedule messages. Clients always know their next step. This is where you spend your time really teaching, performing, creating, and not necessarily emailing. This is where I find things to be really, really more of what I look for automation. Let me see if I have the ability to move. Why won't it let me? Give me just a second, Dylan. This is where I wish I had the ability to present on my device. Can you still see once it loads? Not quite. Shoot. Let me try something for just a quick sec. That's what I should have done. We're good now. Made it. All right, so let's go back to this. So here we are. Key principles for workflow design. So at the end of the day, when we think of workflow, we want to think of it like a flow chart. So each task should naturally lead to the next without bottlenecks. Group similar tasks, emails together, for instance, payments together, and automate handoffs between systems so data flows automatically. You want to ultimately map your entire process visually from inquiry to payment. This also is a place where you want groups similar tasks together, grouping tasks that could go together. Use automation hubs, like I said before, Zapier, Make, or IFTTT, as well as minimizing manual data entry or duplication. So here is a teaching workflow that you could use on your own time. This is where you have your inquiry. There then is an auto response. You provide a scheduling link within that auto response. As soon as they schedule, an invoice is automatically created, whereby you send it out to them. There's confirmation within the lesson reminder of this is in 24 hours. You have a follow up, not a flow up, whereby you review the request, you make sure that everything is ready to go, you have the lesson, you immediately get the payment from them, whereby you have a scheduling or you have a link sent out to them, or you just say at the beginning of the lesson reminder, payment must be provided before the lesson. Payment is given, send a receipt, everybody's happy. How does this flow with you?
It, I like that it's being mentioned just for sake of I spent so much time hearing what to do in the lesson that you never hear what to do around the lesson, like how to get to the point where you're doing the lesson or after the lesson. So I like that you have consolidated it into a much more tangible thing.
Yeah. Yeah, at the end of the day, I've found over the course of time, it's very easy to feel manipulated by your partner or by your students or by your families or, by any sort of client that you somehow have to have a system ready to go in the event it's not completely following through. You have the ability to control the situation such that you wait until the payment's given, or you communicate with them, hey, have you received this information? I really need this before we get started. You have that control as your own business at the end of the day. And if you have to just click a button to say lesson reminder, payment is required over and over and over again with however much notice you need, then you do that and you still save time, as opposed to emailing them over and over again with the same message over and over. We want to avoid that as much as possible. So, we want to also be very careful that we avoid over automation. So, we want to treat automation as not necessarily stripping away your personality. You want to still feel a sense of humanness as you do this. You want to let technology handle the logistics, but you handle the relationships. So this is the in-person, the personability that you need to have with anybody. That includes beyond the teaching studio, that includes networking, that includes being at a gig and still playing with your colleagues. Like I recently did my first Dallas performance opportunity. I knew that it wasn't just, hey, play Beethoven 7. It was very much a, hi, you are people I would love to work with in my near future. And you're also really friendly. Let's have a beer. So having that sense of automation, even in personal relationships, can be very helpful, but also it's not robotic. It's very natural for me to be upfront with people. And some might just have to think a little differently. Maybe it could be something to the effect of, hey, I'd love to have a private conversation with you about if you know of any other leads in the community, or it could be something as simple as, hey, I'd love to just catch up and talk. Doesn't have to be any further than that. It doesn't have to be all about business. You want to avoid, like I said, long robotics messages with people, whether it's in person or um, via computer, sending emails or texts. You want to review your automations monthly for relevance. And remember, text supports relationships. It does not replace them, like I mentioned before. That's ultimately what turns a transaction into loyalty. Does that make sense to you? Do you see yourself using that, Dylan?
I definitely see myself using that. I'm also the same way with really valuing like the personal connection as well, because I was trying to figure out, I was actually thinking about this point of like the different, like separating between automation for the sake of like administrative things and then also the personal touch of like, oh, I want to keep working with this person because I like him as a person and things like, and the other things on top of that.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's very easy, especially when I was a personnel manager, automation was my life. Like, I needed automation to be able to manage people, but equally such, have like a default whenever, something was not working in my way, whether it be communications or payments or, sending out rehearsal details, making sure that everybody has all their tax info. There was always this sense of keeping everything very consistent so that when I get into the rehearsal, I don't have to think about, is it going to happen? Yes, it will happen. I then have the ability to focus on whatever, you know, repertoire we have to focus on, or me leading my section without worry. And equally such, I can have a good time with the people I'm working with. That's where we have to find that balance of how much is too much, while equally such enjoying the experience. Otherwise, why do it, you know? So, cool. Let's talk about quick wins for workflow efficiency. Um, you want to use reoccurring task templates, batch admin time once a week. You want to ensure that your calendar is synced with payment systems, automating your reminder and follow up sequences, as well as storing all forms and templates in one digital hub. How does this all sound to you?
It sounds like something, in like all honesty, it sounds like something I'd be scared to do just because I'm great at procrastinating and anxious, but it sounds like something that's necessary for me to do. It sounds
Yeah.
like eating veggies.
Yes, it's like eating veggies. You know, it's going to be nutritious and valuable for you, but it's always kind of just like, it needs a lot of salt in order for me to pack it down. Now I hear that. Um, this is where it's really helpful to have like a manager time for yourself. This is something that my coach has taught me, where, you know, we are very tech minded, technician minded, where we are specialists in what we do. You're a specialist in the flute. I'm a specialist as a bassist. I will go into schools and give my pedagogical expertise, but obviously there's a sense of routine that comes with going into the schools, including establishing communication, including invoicing, including, you know, the follow-up. How did the students do? Or maybe they want lessons with me, having templates of communication for those families as well. And then we start finding the repetitiveness, and that's where we really determine what does our workflow efficiency look like. So again, reoccurring task templates, and you can do it for any sort of denomination of work that you do. So like I mentioned with clinics, that's one avenue to explore, whether it be getting your name out there with symphonies in your local or not so local communities. What do you have to have on hand ready to go to be able to just send a mass email, not even a mass email, but mass individual emails to multiple personnel managers? Having your studio be aware of any sort of newsworthy events that you want them to sync with their calendars. Create an event, have it ready, and has an auto reminder for your students that, hey, this event is coming. I'd love to see you there. Does that now create a little bit of relevancy for some of the things you might see yourself doing?
Yes, especially as I'm over the course of the next year-ish, I'm definitely looking at reaching out to like local schools and even things that might be further out because I have a car along with orchestras and things like that. So thinking about putting it all into like a sort of, not all of those specifically, but different branches of a template that works for me
Yeah.
makes it seem less scary.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's what you want to make of it. I have my own system. Your teacher will have their own system. Your cohort colleagues will have their own system. But if it doesn't work for you, then it's something that we have to identify. You have to identify for yourself that fits your mold, but still keeps your time to yourself. So it's good that you're identifying that this is something that you could use work on. You know, we all could at the end of the day. So we are just about wrapped up. So, as we recap, we talked about eliminating repetitive administrative tasks. We talked about building seamless client systems, as well as creating an efficient automated workflow. At the end of the day, this is your big picture takeaway from this webinar. Your goal after this, or at any point in your musical education or journey, is to stop repeating tasks and building systems that ultimately serve you. You want to design a workflow that keeps your business running even when you're focused on performing, teaching, or resting or eating, having your time to yourself. Your action plan. So let's maybe make a plan for yourself today. If you could pick one repetitive task to automate this week, what would that be?
I think it would be emailing like local places about opportunities.
Okay. How would you test and refine that one system once a month?
Didn't- What was the question? I'm sorry.
So, how would you test and refine maybe that particular task that you've created a system once a month?
Um, I would definitely probably base it off of like how the responses are that I get back,
Mhm,
and based on like the responses I'm receiving,
mhm.
sort of find the holes that are in it and maybe reassess in that way. I'm thinking more of like the wording of how I would do it, kind of right
Okay.
now.
So communication style, getting that template communication ready,
Correct.
sending out the inquiry, getting some sort of confirmation or feedback from the client you're wanting to engage with or the student you're trying to acquire or what have you. And from there, you can have one or two different responses that um, are related to the response. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Okay, great. So now, when you go about this, how would you track your saved time and reinvest it in creativity or rest?
Um, Tracking it. I probably just look at my screen time for like Gmail.
Mhm. Good, 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 good. What I would recommend, and I think that's really awesome that you're doing that, maybe even like setting a timer for the amount of time that you actually devote to admin
Mhm.
tasks and see how you're able to automate that particular task, in your case, emailing, after a week with this system that we more or less created together, and then reassess maybe like on a text or something like that to me, how much time you got back and how much of
Mhm.
that went toward flute playing, how much that went toward better meal prepping, how much that went toward devoting time to take a walk down Davis, you know? So it's your time that you are able to do whatever you want with it. And that's what I'm most curious about is how much time is added after all of that.
Yes.
hmm So after this, and I would love to maybe see this through for you. I do
Hmm.
have a free automation tool guide on hand on the ready. It's available for you or anybody who watches this replay with other resources as well. Um, After having a strategy call with me. So you're able to schedule a strategy call to learn more about my programming as well as coaching tools that we just did, whereby we figured out an action plan for you for automation, just one task. You're able to also join my Opus Connection Point private Facebook group, whereby I will give other forms of value available to you as well as others that are interested in wanting to build their freelance careers. I am hosting another webinar on November 21st, which is the third Friday. It wasn't the third Friday this week because I have rehearsal. Gee, imagine that freelancer life. Um, Whereby we are going to talk about social media for the modern freelancer, essentially how to market yourself in the world of social media beyond just Facebook, beyond Instagram, but maybe even a Live app or LinkedIn or any of those platforms that exist out there for any clientele that you're trying to reach out and serve and or work with along the way. So first off, do you have any questions for me before we sign off?
Yeah, I was curious. This isn't related to this specific topic, but it is related to, I believe you had a different webinar that I think I had to miss for work or something like that. That was about um, networking, I want to say that you had.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Do you by chance still have like a resource for that? Just I
Yeah.
forgot. That was definitely like something I was like, I need to see this because I do not know how to network.
Yeah, of course. So I can definitely send that over to you. I still have to actually edit that video. Would it be helpful if um, I schedule, or how about we can schedule that strategy call and I can
Yeah,
give you the resources for that webinar. And then after the scheduled strategy call, you can also receive the resources from this webinar as well.
that sounds perfect.
Okay, let's go ahead with that then. I think that would be probably a big time